YouTube, it's me, Crystal, aka Cristal, here with another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you two kind of different looks. One is going to be how to cut your wrist without having to make the cuts beforehand and then faking it as if you cut it. And the other one's going to be a ripped look to pretty much just look gross. So what I first showed you was the sponges. And the sponges you can go get at the 99-cent store. They give you a huge package. It comes little blocks, and I cut them in fours, one so that I can have a lot more to work with. Then I showed you two different bottles of latex. One is a regular bottle of latex, clear, and the other one is a body paint latex. Now that one's a lot thicker. If you do not have red body paint latex, and if you do want red body paint latex, all you have to do is add some blood to the clear latex and it'll be red. So that's pretty much it. Now you want to grab any non-porous surface to work with the latex. You can use a mirror. I'm just using a tray, and what you're going to do is make two oval circles. Now it really depends on where you're going to put it. If you want to do it your whole forearm, then it's going to have to be a lot bigger pieces. I'm just showing you pretty much like a sample on the wrist type thing. One piece is going to be on the top, so it's going to be the part that you cut. That has to be really thin. Now the one that's going to be on the bottom is going to be a lot thicker, because when you cut, you want to make sure that you don't get to you, that you don't cut yourself. So the top layer, I did about 4 little thin layers, and after each layer you want to make sure that you blow dry it. Once you start seeing it turn all the way clear, then it's time to move on and do another little layer. The bottom layer, I did a couple layers, I think like 4 layers at first, and then I started stippling on the layers. Stippling on means you're going to just like dab it. And why I dabbed it is because it's almost like 2 layers instead of 1. It makes it a lot thicker, and that's why it doesn't dry clear like the first time when you just make a small little layer. So I did that, and now I'm just showing you for video purposes so that you can see it. You do not have to put the red on. The blood will make the latex red regardless, but I'm showing you with the red latex. I'm stippling it on for another layer, and then I'm going to dry it. Now this kind of looks really funky. It almost looks like I'm making a pad. I know that sounds freaking gross, but that's exactly what it looks like, and it's crazy, but it does the best effects. Swear to God, if you do it on your face, or you do it on your whole forearm or your legs, and you're just ripping it off, or you want to cut yourself all over because you want to be a cutter for Halloween, this is the coolest thing ever. Now I'm grabbing some toilet paper, and you want to go ahead and shape it pretty much into the form that you did. Now the reason for the toilet paper is because instead of the whole blood just draining out once you fill it up, it helps stay put, so it doesn't just all come out at once. It actually comes out little by little and starts just dripping. Now I added a little bit of latex. Don't completely soak it with latex. You just want to add a little bit so that the toilet paper still stays dry, and then you're just gonna barely pat it on, and that's about it. You're just gonna leave that alone. Now for video purposes, I used a really goldish bronzer, but you want to normally use a translucent powder or your foundation powder. You're going to put a thin layer of powder on top of your latex, and what this does is allows the latex to be not sticky anymore. Because if it's sticky and you try to pull it up, it can stick to each other, and that's it. You ruined your piece. So you want to completely dry it, make sure the powder's all over it, and then lift up a little piece at the edge and then start putting powder underneath. And then slowly lifting up, and then pull a little more, and then put powder underneath. And slowly lifting up, and continue until your piece is all the way gone. Well, all the way off. You know what I mean. Do you see how thin that piece is? It's really thin, but remember what I said, when you cut it, it's going to be super easy to cut, so you don't have to like actually get a really crazy hard knife and end up really cutting yourself. Or if you just want to have it as a piece that's going to be ripped off, it's going to be really easy to take off instead of having something that's you have to really tug and pull. So what I'm doing now is I just getting some latex, and I'm going all the way around my prosthetic piece. And what I'm doing is I'm pretty much using the latex like a glue. So I'm going to put a little thin layer on top of it. And then I'm going to put latex on top again. And this is going to seal it. Now normally you can cut the piece. You always want to make it bigger and then cut to make it smaller, or the piece you want, because more is better than a little bit, because you can always cut it down smaller, but you can't make something bigger. Now this is just regular vampire blood. It was only 99 cents. What I did was I grabbed a piece of a straw and I cut the ends to like a point so that it would actually go through the latex. How I got the little straw to stick is I just used some latex and stuck it on there, wait till it dried. So it's really flimsy, but I'm just using it just to push it through. And then you fill up your little pouch, and that's pretty much it. That's how you fill that up. So in order to seal the little hole that you just made, you want to grab some latex, put the latex on, and then add a little piece of toilet paper, and then put latex on top of that. The reason for that is because it gives it a more thicker layer instead of having to put latex and latex and latex. So that just makes it real simple and quick. You want to grab your powder. Now it's foundation powder. And you want to do the same thing. You want to powder the whole top and then repeat the step on the bottom. You see how it's real shiny? Well, if I would allow that and then just rip it off and that shiny piece touches another shiny piece, it's going to stick together. And like I said, it ruins your whole piece. So, yeah. Now, see how I cut it around? Normally, I wouldn't cut around because the really thin layers, the really thin pieces at the edge will give it a real blended piece. And it'll look more fine. It'll be really, really easy to blend, especially with makeup. But because I didn't really know what I was going to do yet, I cut it to the size I wanted. And yeah, when you do something like that and you do have a really hard edge, what you want to do is get some toilet paper and help blend the edges. Now, so I put latex all the way around and all on top. This is going to be like the glue. Then you're going to grab your one ply of toilet paper, put it on top, and then apply latex on top of that. You'd rather have a really fine edge than a really thick, hard edge so that it's easier to blend with makeup. Now, the reason mine looks a little bumpy is because mine is like Charmin toilet paper, and it has all these flowers and stuff on it. So you want to get that really cheap toilet paper that has no design, no print, no nothing, and it'll make everything look fine and sleek. But mine's going to look a little bumpy because it does have a design. So, oops. Anyways, after you're done with that, it's going to be a little sticky. You do not have to put powder because we're going to put foundation. Now, you can use any foundation. I don't recommend using really expensive foundation. You can use you can use acrylic paint. You can use Halloween makeup, or you can use regular foundation. Now, my foundation doesn't really match his color, but for tutorial's sake, I'm using my friend Mr. Tom, and I'm just using my foundation and stuff like that. So, here's another little tip. It's always better to go a shade and a half darker or a shade darker to help blend everything, because if you're really light, everything is going to pop out. After you put on your foundation so that it's not shiny, you can get your translucent powder or your foundation powder, and you want to set it. So after that, you don't have to do this, but since it was going to start off as just a cutting video, at the bottom, I'm grabbing some scar wax, and what I'm doing right now is I'm pretty much warming it up so it's easier to work with. And I'm going to make a slit on the bottom by the wrist. So right here, because it's warmed up, it allows me to move it very easily. And I'm just using the back end of the tweezers. And these are needle nose tweezers. So with the front end of the tweezers, after I've done, pretty much working everything out the way I want it, I'm going to use the needle point, and I'm just going to make a slice through it. After you have everything the way you want it, you want to grab a thin layer of latex, and you pretty much seal it. Now, the reason for the latex is because if you do anything with wax, it's going to move and mess up unless you seal it. So you want to seal it with the latex. And then I turned around and I dried it. You want to now put your foundation and your powder again, just so that it makes it look like everything else. And then grab any black or red face paint. Now, if you want it to look more like a scar, you want to use more of the pink and red. But if you wanted to make it look like an open slit, then you want to use black and red. So you don't want to overpower it with too much black. But if you're going to use blood and all that, then it really doesn't matter whether you overpower it with black or you overpower it with red, because the blood is really going to take over and it's just going to look like blood regardless. Unless you're doing like a big open cut, then it does change the way things look. But since these are small little cuts, it really doesn't matter. So now I'm grabbing some vampire blood. It could be any type of blood. It does not matter the kind of blood. But the whole video I use vampire blood. Now I'm going to show you how it looks with a slit. We cut it and it came out like that. And then he started cutting. But then I was like, man, it would look really cool if I just pull this off. When I pulled it off, it actually looked really neat, ripped. And because of the bottom and everything, it made it look like flesh toned underneath. Like that's the way it's supposed to look when you actually rip something, like your skin. So I thought that was really cool. So I hope you enjoy this, guys. I hope this was easy and fun for you to do. And I will talk to you later and see you in the next video.